Oh, here comes little email with the gun in his hand. Hi there, Bikdip. I was just wondering, when is Bikdip's Adventure 3 coming out? Yours truly, Johnny Well, on. Oh, left my Johnny Well on. Johnny Well, off. Man, people won't leave me alone about this one. Okay. Bikdip's Adventure 3, production update. Day 114. Things are coming along right on schedule. So far, we seem to have only hit one major snag. And that is, I haven't, made Bikdip's Adventure 3 yet. But, before you start throwing full wine bottles at your computer screen, let me offer this as a cop-out. The digitally remastered director's cut of Bikdip's Adventure 1, Bikdip's Adventure 0.
Alright, so let me actually explain what this thing is supposed to be. First of all, I'm going to admit that I made this project almost entirely so I could make the strong baddie email joke there. It fit way too well. It had to be done. But no, this is pretty much a project that I did for legacy reasons. There was nobody asking for this. I had no reason to do it. I just kind of felt like it. So, in case you're not aware, let me explain the history behind Bikdip's Adventure 0. I've talked about this a few times. I know I've mentioned it in some recent streams, but it was just kind of in passing. And I probably talked about it in the original BA1 LP, but I don't remember really for sure. But the version of BA1 that's available to play is not the original one that was actually made. The public version was released sometime in 2004 alongside Mitch, which I know for a fact was finished in June 2004. The original BA1 I unfortunately don't have any documentation on in terms of release date, or even when it was started. It was kind of a mess. My history with Zelda Classic goes back to basically me trying to find a PC version of the game without having to actually do any emulation, because at the time I was still opposed to that. There was like a long period of time where I refused to play ROMs because they were like, they're illegal or bad, I'm not going to do that. But then I found that somebody rebuilt the game from scratch, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, and I played through it on there. I don't know why, I already had it on NES, and I played through it on that too. But I introduced it to my friend Harrison, and he played through the original as well. And this was sometime when I was in junior high, 7th or 8th grade. I really don't remember when. Then one fateful day, my cousin was visiting, and I was like, "This, I have this thing on here. It has an editor. I've not really messed with it at all. Like, I pulled it up, and I'm like, hey, you can like choose the graphics to put on screen, and you can draw your screens any way you want, but I don't know how to do anything else with it." And so what we ended up doing was just when you load up ZQuest, like when you pulled up for the first time, it's just a blank screen. It has the NES palette and graphics, and you can just make screens with it. So what we did was we ended up making not maybe like a third of an overworld, I would say. It was basically everything in the like first chunk of the game before you take the 3-star warp. If you look at like the full map, it's and it's gone. It's basically the entire green section here. We made all of that, and we're like, and this is where level 1 will go, and this is where level 2 will go. But I'm pretty sure at the time we didn't even know how to change C-sets, so everything was green. Obviously, there was no actual gameplay. We didn't know how to load it up into the player. Like for the caves and stuff, we probably used the wrong tiles, because it's like, this one's a cave, these are not. I don't know. But we at least had it visually down. And then basically, like, after that weekend was over or whatever, he went home, and then I didn't really think about it for a while. And eventually I'm like, you know, I'd kind of like to learn this. So I found the tutorial by Alpha Dog, and I'll go to a different screen, sit on that for a while. But I found the tutorial and very, very basically learned how to work with this. I was not very good at it at all. And so I did finish the game, but there's some things you need to realize about it. There's a few, like, there's reasons that BA1 is the way it is. It's a lot more primitive than my other games, and obviously it's not very well designed. It has a crap ton of flaws in it, but game design flaws aside, it's also just not very advanced. Like, if you play this and then play my other ones that use the same system, you'll notice that there's certain things that never happen in the game. For instance, the enemy's secret screen flag. You kill all enemies, and it triggers the secrets on screen. I never used that because I didn't know what this was. It was never explained in the tutorial, so I never touched it. The, where is it? Yeah, the whistle flag. All I knew is you could play the whistle on a screen and it would activate a stairs secret combo. I didn't know what the whistle flag did, so I never used it. I only used the arrow flag a couple times because 1.84 is weird. And so, now you may be wondering, what do you mean by 1.84? I'm surprised I haven't mentioned this yet, because this is a pretty big part of this. My other quests were made in version 1.90, which runs in DOS, and is primitive and shitty, but the original game was made in an earlier version. It was made in 1.84. And I am currently running 1.84 in DOSBox. I specifically downloaded this old version and recreated the entire quest in it, just kind of for the sake of it. Boy, chorus to crappiness. But the main differences are basically just that a few things aren't really implemented. If you look in the item list and scroll all the way through, you'll notice there's a few items that aren't in here, most notably the hook shot and the hammer hadn't been made yet. Oh, okay, I guess the hammer is made, but there's no... Okay, this is immediately proving me wrong. I apologize for that. So I guess these were implemented, but they didn't do anything. So let me explain this. The hook shot works by using it on an HS grab combo. The hammer has to be used on a pound combo. Boots have to be used on a damage combo, otherwise they won't do anything. If you look at the different types of combos, you will see none of those exist. We've got swimming, which is surprising. I didn't think the flippers actually worked in this version. I certainly didn't know what they were at the time, so I didn't do them. But yeah, a lot of that stuff isn't in here. Not even the push heavy 2, which is used for the L2 bracelet. So a lot of those items in there don't do anything. And so this version of the game does not have any of the secrets in it that were in the final version. This is the screen that originally, I keep saying originally, this is the screen that has the what is called the secret club, where it basically tells you, like, hey, there's 6 secrets in this game, here's hints on how to find them. And it has the cheat code in it, but it also tells you where to get the mirror shield and the super bombs and the fire boomerang and a few other things like that. None of those were in the NES version. The cheat code might have been. I don't remember. I did my best to recreate this as accurate as what I think it would have been like when I originally made it. And I know that I had the cheat code in there at some point. So I put it into this version, and I also put in B, just for people to mess around with. But I don't know if those were there. It doesn't really matter. But point is, I just created this as accurately as I possibly could, given my lack of any real, like, evidence of what it was like, and just kind of going off of memory here. Such as, you'll notice in a few places, if you look at it in the editor, some stupid stuff like this. What are we currently looking at? Well, that tree is... Here, let me actually find a different screen. That might show it off a little better. This one. 4 is a burn flag. If fire hits it, then those will go away. 11 is a super bomb flag. A lot of things in this game I originally did as super bomb or arrow flags. And there's a reason for that, because in the final versions of this game, I changed it to flag 16, which is basically flag 16 through 31. These are just things that you can have pop up when a secret is triggered. I didn't know what these were. The Alpha Dog tutorial never went over it. So my way of getting around this was, if I never give the player super bombs, they'll never be able to activate it. So I can just use that instead. And so that was kind of my way of making more complex secrets, by just using super bomb flags. And I also, at some point, I know I used arrow flags too, because 1.84 has a bug where arrows only trigger stuff if it's at the very edge of a screen. The arrow passing through a tile will not trigger it, but it, like, disappearing on contact with the edge will. It's kind of stupid. So I know I had that in there at some point. It's not in this version though, because I wasn't sure exactly where I did that. But like I said, I did my best here. And when I say I did my best, I mean I freaking made this about as good as I possibly could. Like, problems and all. So, like, for instance, in level 2, here's a part where, like, this is where you kill some P-hats, and then the compass appears to show you can go left. Once you go left, there's no return. There should be, like, another walk through walls thing on the side here, but it's not. It's just a wall. I just forgot to put one in. I know that's there because that's there in the public version of BA1. When I made BA1, I took my original file in the NES graphics. I basically imported the BS tile set, and then manually went through each screen and changed everything over, but kept the original properties that I had. So any bugs that existed in the current version would have existed in the original, so I kept them for legacy reasons. If you want to go in and edit them and make them work better, by all means. Another one, in this very same room, when you take this passageway and it leads to a different room, you can go back out of the thing that, like, you can go into the passageway and then before going the other way, go back up. And for that type of thing, you're supposed to have a, like, continue point. I never set one. I'm surprised it doesn't just stick you up in the top left corner. That's what I thought it would do, but when I tested it, it just dumps you back onto the staircase immediately. It's not a big deal, but it's something stupid. In level 6, there's a Which screen is it? I think it's not this one. It's, where the hell is it? This one, maybe? It's a passageway. Sorry, I'm going to be a second. I have to find where this is. Yeah, here we go. In this screen, which is basically just kind of like towards the end of the dungeon, this staircase comes from this one. It's like you go through here, you go up through the wall, you go in here, there's a passageway. This works as intended. The passageway back is set as an entrance-exit warp for some reason, and so those use the green placement tile instead of the blue one, and I never set the green placement tile, so if you try to go back, you just appear in the corner of the screen. You're not visible, you can't move, you can't attack, and even using the cheat code won't get you out, so you're just stuck. I know that exists because I saw that happen to somebody in an LP. So, an LP, that's how I talk now. So yeah, all awful design choices and unintended bugs are still in this version. Like I said, if you want to edit them out, you can. But yeah, this is just available to play if anybody wants it. I don't know why anybody would, other than just for a weird piece of Jish history. Like, the file is just called jish.quest because that's what it was. Oh, here's the burn the map room. Legendary burn the map room. Preserved in 8-bit quality. But yeah, it's a thing. That's about all I've got. As I've said many times, I do fully plan on officially starting BA3 by the 25th. I currently have no reason to say that that won't be happening. This took me like 4 days to make. It wasn't that difficult, it just was slightly tedious. When I get a decent chunk into that one, and like finish up the intro cutscene and the title screen, I'm probably going to do a video showing that off. When I get further into the game and actually have like stuff to show off, I'll show it off. I'm going to do trailers and stuff, so you'll know when there's progress. I'll probably talk about it in other videos, but for right now, this is what I've got. It's stupid as hell. I don't know why I made it, but enjoy. Also, I'm stupid. I forgot that I wanted to show this off and just for some reason didn't. So, I mentioned that I had to get this to work in DOSBox. There might be some way to run 184 without this, but if there is, I sure as hell don't know. So, I'm just going to show off how to do this in case anybody wants to bother with it. First, obviously, you'll want to download DOSBox. It's a free download. Just Google it, and there you go. I kind of figured out how to at least launch ZQuest in it with a little bit of research, and I don't know how to use it otherwise, so I am by no means somebody you want to ask about how to work this thing. But basically, if you want to try and run ZQuest in this, what you want to do is type mount C, and then basically the file destination for the folder that contains it, which in my case is D emulators ZC184. Then you want to just type C:, to switch it to that directory. Then to navigate through folders, you type CD and then the folder you need. There's a separate, I hesitate to call it program, I guess just a file that I had to download to get this to work. I have no idea what this file actually is, I just know that you need it according to a thread on PureZC. So I downloaded that and I put it in a folder inside the ZC folder. So what I'm going to do is cd bin, because that's the name of the folder. Then the program name is cwsdpmi. Again, no idea what that is, but I have it. So you type that in and then space -x, and then that runs it, I guess. I don't freaking know. Then cd ... to go back to the Zelda folder. And then from here you can type either Zelda or ZQuest and it will launch the program. Now I already showed off ZQuest, so I'm going to show off the Zelda Classic Player and the problems associated with it. So get ready. So you'll notice it runs at the speed of light. See at the top where it says max 100% cycles? There's a way to slow that down. If you do Control F11, it'll go down. I'm going to keep doing that. Here's the game running at 1%. It's still fucking insanely fast and can't be played. So, here's the thing. You can apparently fix this in the settings for DOSBox. There's this thing, Cycles Auto, that it basically talks about up here, like if you set it to fixed and then a number, you can have it run at a certain speed. I tried doing this. I set it to a couple different numbers just to test how it would run, and Zelda never actually launched when I did that. If somebody can figure out how to make this not run at dick speed, that would be great, but I don't know how to do it myself, so if you find out, I guess just post it in the comments. I could honestly probably ask Joel, but he's not even here right now, so I wanted to make this video now, and I didn't feel like waiting. But, let me show off one other thing with the 184 system before I go. This is really stupid. So, on this screen, normally you're supposed to wake up one of the Armos statues, and then you can get past it. In 184, hit detection is freaking weird. The rock directly above me here, yeah, you can just kind of go in that. But you can't go back. Why? I don't know. This tile has solidity on the top left, top right, and bottom left, but it is walkthrough on the bottom right. For some reason, the game still allows me to step into it if I'm coming from below. If I'm coming from the right, you can't. The same is true in some other cases, like these trees. I'm never going to be able to show this off because I move way too goddamn fast to get properly lined up with it. But you can kind of like walk down through the top right corner of these trees. And this is exclusive to the 184 player. If you try to play this in any later version, it's not going to do this. But for like the authentic BA0 experience, technically you would have to play it in 184. I just don't know how to get this thing to run. I considered making a new version of the quest with the solidity of stuff changed to accurately emulate this, but there's no way to make a tile that you can walk through from the bottom and not the side, so it's whatever. We'll just leave it like that. Anyway, I think I'm actually done for real now. Like I said, this was a pointless little thing, but I had fun with it.